Three Things with JR. We are back. Sort of. Technically, I'm not back. I'm on vacation. I am probably at the beach or watching a baseball game on TV with my mother in Sarasota, Florida, right here, right now, as you're listening to this podcast. I know I didn't record it last night, meaning the Monday before the Tuesday when these episodes drop. Normally, that's when I record a brand new episode, is literally the day before I'd put it out to the world. So it's as topical and real as possible. But this episode is different. I'm recording this introduction a week or so ahead of time because I know I'm not going to do it while I'm on vacation visiting my mom. So what we are going to do, though, is we are going to revisit a few of my most listened to episodes. I'm debating what I want to do here. Looking through my list of episodes to see which one has the most plays. And the most is episode number 32, Catching Up with Chester. Recorded back in October of 2020. But it's only number one by one listen. The two episodes before that, episode number 30, A Day at the Lake, is an episode I recorded with my daughter. And I love the idea that the two episodes that I recorded with my son and my daughter are my top two listened to episodes. The only other one that ties that is episode number one. First thing, the very first episode is actually tied for number two most listened to. So I think what we're gonna do here is I'm just gonna replay the actual most listened to episode, which was Catching Up with Chester. So this is Chester's life as it was almost a year ago now, back in October of 2020. So everything you're going to hear on this episode, please keep in mind it's not exactly current. It's like 8 months old. So there you go. So episode 32 was Catching Up with Chester. That's what you're about to hear. I think you're really going to notice a difference in production quality in that episode and this and what the podcast has become, how it sounds now. And so don't let that deter you. I think it was still very fun to talk to Chester. He lives in Okinawa, in Japan, with his wife and two beautiful daughters, my granddaughters, Malia and Aria, and his wife Megan. So I got a chance to chat with him, recorded the whole thing, and it was a pretty fun podcast. So here it is once again for your listening pleasure from beginning to end. It's the entire episode number 32, Catching Up with Chester. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode of Three Things with JR. Thanks for being a listener. Thanks for being here. Thanks for allowing me to do this, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Enjoy your summer. Here's Chester. Hello and welcome everybody to Three Things with JR. I'm going to be doing this intro not at my normal volume, just because it's about 10:30 at night on a Saturday. Kiki is in bed sleeping about 10 feet from where I sit. So I'm not trying to talk at full volume. She's probably not going to wake up either way, but just in case, there's no reason to wake her up. She's had a long day. She was up at 4:45 this morning, rallying horses into a trailer to go to a horse show, and that's her typical thing. She's up way earlier than I ever would want to get up. I slept in, but not super late today. For me, that means I got up at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, and the reason I got up so early was because I wanted to record an interview with Chester. Chester's my stepson. He is stationed in Okinawa, Japan. They are 11 hours ahead of us, time-wise. So I was up at 10 a.m., which meant he was still up at 11 p.m. his time. And he sounds tired a little bit, but that's because he was about to go to bed and he forgot that I was going to call him. And then he stayed up for another hour and 15 minutes chit-chatting with me, getting caught up with dear old stepdad, JR. He calls me Adam, of course. And this episode is all about getting caught up with Chester. I haven't talked to him in a while. I hit him up on Facebook every now and then. He hits me up. But we haven't really had a good chat in a while. And I thought, well, I bet there's a lot of people here stateside who would love to hear Chester's voice, love to hear what's going on. And so we hear about him and his wife and his daughters and life in Japan, life during COVID, and what their plans are for coming home, which they are still not 100% solidified, but they do have some plans. So yeah, it's a pretty cool one. If you know Chester Lee Hensley III at all, you're gonna dig this episode. And actually, this is not the only podcast episode I recorded today. I spent the middle part of the day playing disc golf, and then the end or the latter part of the daylight hours on a boat with a coworker, a big pontoon boat over there on Lake Monticello. Coworker's name is Ziggy. He's got a newer boat, and he just put a big stereo on it, and I interviewed him on his boat so he could be on Crutchfield, the podcast, which, by the way, if you're not listening to that, that's another way to hear more of my voice. If you were interested in that, you should definitely check it out. But more importantly, if you're interested in electronics, cool stuff, TVs, stereos, whatever it is Crutchfield sells, we want to talk about it on the podcast. So it's a lot of fun. It's my other podcast. It's not mine. It's Crutchfield's podcast that they let me host. So there you go. I'm getting loud. I hope I'm not waking Kiki up. All right, we should probably get to the interview now. So it's a bit of a long one. I am going to try to raise the level on Chester's voice a little bit. He's a little tired. He's, thousands and thousands of miles away. We're doing this through Facebook Messenger, which isn't really the best video conferencing system around, but it's good enough. It got the job done. Anyway, here we go. We'll do a little drum solo, and we'll be back with Chester Hensley and me chit-chatting it up for about an hour and 15 minutes.
Hey.
Hey. How you doing, man?
Good. Doing all right.
How old are you now?
31.
So you're going to turn 32 in January.
Yeah. I'm 32.
And this is episode number 32. So there you go.
Oh, perfect.
Hey, have you guys been listening to this show?
No, when you invited me on, I was like, man, I need to really listen. I've heard like little bits of them, but I haven't like sat down and like fully listened to a whole one. So
yeah. So then you didn't hear the time when I said something really stupid. I should have known this. I think I had mentioned it to you early on, and you guys might have listened to an episode at some point, right? And then when I begin the show, I often talk about like who's listening. Like when I look at my stats or my numbers about my podcast, I can see people and where they're listening and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, it popped up that somebody was listening to my show in Japan, and it did not connect in my brain that it was you guys at all. I was like, man, This is so cool. I've got a listener in Japan. How did that happen? And I just went all over it. And my mom is like, she listened to the episode, and she's like, hey, you do know that Chester's in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit.
It's probably Megan. Were you listen? Was it show? Does it show up live, like live, or?
Listening to the one that Allison did.
She said she was listening to the one that Allison did.
Nice. So she listened to it recently. So no, this was like months ago. This would have been a while back. And so if you guys even just listened to 1 minute, it would have popped up, right? Not live, but just like the next day, it says, "Okay, you have a listener in Japan" or whatever.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I went on the next episode and just admitted how stupid I was not to realize that it was you guys in Japan. I do know people in Japan. I don't know why it didn't occur to me that it was be you guys. So
You've gone international.
that's right. I'm going worldwide, baby. I've since then I've added people in countries, and there's definitely nobody I know in most of these countries.
Nice.
I'm gonna look it up and see where we're at right now, because it's the list of countries where people have listened to my podcast is interesting. So America makes up 95% of my audience, obviously.
Sure, yeah.
Ireland, 3%. What?
Oh,
3% of the people that have listened to my show are in Ireland.
There's probably more than one, I think, depending on how many people you got.
Yeah. So I estimated audience size per episode is about 25 people. 680 total people have played at least one episode of my show. So 3% of those are in Ireland. I don't know anybody in Ireland. So then we got you guys in Japan. Then we got it's probably Chico down in El Salvador.
Oh, yeah.
And then all the rest of these are less than 1%. So somebody, one person in India, Germany, Portugal, France, Singapore, and the United Kingdom have all listened to the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we really have gone worldwide.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
So I figured we would just talk about whatever, and it'll kind of be like three things. I don't know if you are familiar with the premise of the show.
Yeah, I know you usually talk about three things, but
Three
I
things.
didn't really.
It's not really super complicated. But I shoot, man. You and I haven't just talked at all in a while, so I figured let's talk. Let's get caught up and put it on the podcast, because I think there's a lot of people here back in the States who might love to just hear what's going on with you guys and such. So.
Oh yeah.
So bring us up to speed. What are you guys up to? What's going on? What are you doing? What do we need to know?
So I'll start off with the girls. So Arya is fully in first grade. She's just going to school. Finally got over the obviously because of all the craziness. She was doing digital school for a while for first grade.
Yep.
But now she's actually first grade. She's going to finally back to brick and mortar schools, and she actually just lost her third tooth. Was it this morning, babe, or was it yesterday morning? It was this morning. It was this morning.
I saw the picture on Facebook. She looks adorable, missing that one of those front teeth right there where everybody can see it.
Big old front tooth. So now we can't take her seriously at all. Anytime she's just trying to laugh at her because she's so cute and funny.
Yeah.
Leah's just, she is her own person, that is for sure. She is a little bit of a terrorist at times, but she's 3, so.
Yeah, she was. She definitely was like no other person I've ever met. For some, like it's like there's nothing predictable about her.
Yeah.
At all, and that I assume that hasn't changed since it's been a year or two since I've seen you guys. So
yeah.
Is she in school yet?
No, not yet. Not yet. Not quite old enough. Maybe I think the year after next she'll be old. She'll be old enough. So not yet.
Would you say it's fair to say that Arya is a little Chester and Malia is a little Megan? Like, is that just how it worked out, or no?
That's pretty accurate. That's me and Mate were talking about the other day. Like, Malia is just like Megan, and Arya is just like me. Yeah.
I mean, even the way they look, Arya being just sort of that. I mean, you both are kind of tall and skinny, but she just sort of has your physical appearance. Like, she reminds me of you when I see her, and Malia reminds me of Megan. Like,
yeah, tall, lanky, and Ari's tall and lanky, and then Malia's a little bit shorter. She's still pretty tall for her age because we're both over 6 feet, so it's just they're just gonna be little girls.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ari's got the kind of tall lankiness going on, and Malia's a little more a little stout.
Man, this was a bummer how the COVID thing worked out with school, right? Because you guys Aria had just started going to actual school when this all sort of happened, right?
So her first year of school in her first when in kindergarten was 100% normal, no issues. She went to school, everything was normal.
Okay.
Finished out the whole year, and then
The last 3 months,
yeah, and then right before she was supposed to start first grade, all the stuff went all crazy. So she was
3 months.
virtual learning for 3 months.
And how was that having Aria at home? Was she able to use a computer and did it work? Was it actually a good thing?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Not so much.
felt like you're just spinning tires. Like, I mean, she's okay on the computer, and you have like the little Zoom meets or but with the Malia is just it's very distracting, and anything Malia does towards her, she gets all pretty upset about it, like Malia did this, Malia did that, and then we're like, okay, and of course I'm at work, so it's all Megan there trying to herd the cats around, so it's. Yeah, it was a mess. It's definitely not easier, and I think she probably gets a better learning environment being away from Malia and in a school setting. Although every day she comes over to school, she's like, we did the same thing. It was super easy. I'm like, well, okay,
Yeah.
uh,
That doesn't surprise me. She's very smart.
yeah, she's pretty smart. She likes to do crafts, likes to cut things up and tape. She's for sure you just leave her alone in a room with a bunch of tape and paper, and she'll just she'll run it. Yeah, she'll she makes a bunch of crazy stuff, tapes together, way too much tape.
And from what I see on Facebook, Megan's been doing lots of running. Is that still true?
Yeah. Earlier in the year she was running, or more so towards the end of last year she was running a whole bunch of stuff, and then a little bit towards the beginning of this year, halfway through.
half marathon.
Yeah, she did a complete half marathon. That was a rainy one. Yeah, it was raining. Yeah, it was like freezing cold. I mean, it was cold for Okinawa, which is not super cold, but
Yeah.
it was kind of cool. It was cold and rainy, and she ran a half marathon. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. I'm jealous. I have not been running since I ran the marathon. I ran a little bit afterwards, but instead I just got fat again. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So did I.
Yeah, Megan says so did I.
That's kind of how it works. I'll get back into it at some point. So. And what about you? You've been working crazy hours, right? I wanted to do this last week, but your hours just did not work with when I could record at all.
No, yeah, we were working 12s all last week, so it would have been I'd be dead beat tired by the time. It would be a good time.
And so
Exercise.
what is this is basically the start of thing one, right? We're just getting caught up, but thing one is basically we'll continue talking about this stuff. What's the deal at work with life in Okinawa, with COVID, all of that? Like what's different about life this year than last year?
So the beginning of the year when all the code stuff started coming out, it was kind of cool because I mean there's knee-jerk reaction. We were all like, hey, we need to minimize personal contact as much as possible, so we're gonna do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off of work. We were all like, yeah, hell yeah.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it was like sweet. So we did that for a while. And of course, my job is being maintenance is very hands-on. So like, technically, you're 2 weeks off. You're still on duty. So you're not supposed to drink during your duty hours. You're not supposed to that kind of thing. You're supposed to telework as much as possible. But I mean, for my job, I fix stuff, so I can't I physically have to be there. So it was pretty much just 2 weeks on and then 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
It wasn't a whole lot. Obviously, I would help through if I had piece of information that somebody had, I'll try to chime in like on any kind of group chats. I would chime in, but it was nothing like, it's not like I was actually teleworking, so it's
Right.
kind of cool. And then after that for a while, then I think supervision was kind of like, okay, that's a little much. Now we're gonna do 1 week on, 1 week off. So then we're like, all right, yeah, whatever. We did that for a little. We only did that for like maybe 1 or 2 cycles, and then it was like, okay, now we're gonna do geographically split, like work locations. So half of us are gonna work in this area of the base, and the other half you're gonna work in another area. And that we did that for a while, and then and now we're just kind of back to normal now. It's just normal ops.
So everybody's working kind of their normal stuff.
Normal
Same.
stuff, yeah, normal stuff. We did order got a bunch of like specific cleaning stuff for like all the cockpits and all the stuff. We definitely ramped up like our sanitary procedures and whatnot, and gloves and alcohol spray and a bunch of other special stuff. But
And do you guys basically wear masks all day at work?
no. If within 6 feet, it's the whole 6 feet thing. So if you can exercise social distancing, you do that. If you can't, wear a mask. So
That makes sense. So I
yeah.
mean, you guys are working in a large areas. It's maybe not outside, but it's not like being in a small room with a bunch of other people.
No, yeah, we got lots of space, and most of the guys, they do work outside, so it's it's
Yeah.
plenty of room out there.
Well, that's cool.
So.
Well, that's good. So work is for the most part back to normal. And what about outside of work? What are you guys doing? Like, can you guys go do stuff? And
Yeah, that kind of sucks. So we can't. It's been getting kind of going back and forth. But the most consistent rules that have been kind of set for us is that we cannot eat in at any restaurants. It's takeout only or drive-through. Any off base. This is off base only.
Mhm.
If we're on base, we can eat it. We can go sit down and eat. We can go sit down and eat at the Chili's, but we can go sit down and eat at the BX. We get Taco Bell, whatever. But with that being said, all the tables there are no every single table only has 2 chairs at it, and they're all the tiny little miniature tiny tables. And on each of those tables, there is probably like 2 foot tall piece of plexiglass that is double-sided taped on little brackets to the table. So there's that all over the place, and yeah, and everything's spaced out. Like all the seating arrangements is really weird, And the Chili's on base, they got like every other booth closed off, and all that stuff. But besides that, it's normal.
that reminds me of something at work. So in the break room at my job, I go to my job every day, even though I'm one of about 20 people in that huge headquarters building at Crutchfield that's actually going to work now. And in our break room is these 3 small round tables, 3 or 4 chairs for people to sit and eat lunch or whatever, right? So at some point, Bill Crutchfield said, hey, let's build those little plexiglass things. So they built plexiglass X's, right? They sort of, sit together like that.
Yeah.
Right. So there's just a big, it's like 2 or 3 feet tall pieces of plexiglass in the shape of an X that take up the entire table, so that there's basically 4 quadrants at which somebody could sit and eat and see people at the table without getting germs in their faces, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's using these at all, right? They're just sitting there on the table because there's like 20 people in the building, and everybody looks at that and goes, well, that's not where I'm eating lunch. Except for one person. Like every day, one person goes down to the break room, sits at one of those tables, and eats lunch in one of those little 4 quadrants. Like it's like, where can I find the smallest amount of room to eat my food possible? And like, he could just remove that thing, right? He could just set it off to the table. It's not sticky taped or attached. It's just sitting there, but he doesn't. He just eats at the table by himself in one of these little quadrants. It kind of cracks me up every time I see it.
Does everybody else just eat at their desk, or how's that work?
Yeah, eat at your desk, eat outside. We got picnic tables outside. The weather's been beautiful. I mean, you could go to a lot of different restaurants with outdoor seating. I mean, he brings his lunch clearly. So, but yeah, he has a big desk, and I guess he just does not want to be at his desk for lunch, and so that's where he chooses to go. It's kind of funny.
change of scenery. You got to go down there.
Yeah. And I want to see my reflection in this plexiglass while I eat lunch.
No, right. Got good acoustics.
Yeah. So, can you guys go to restaurants with outdoor seating, or is that off limits as well?
That's so we can, if we go to a restaurant off base, we can go to outdoor seating, but that's it. So if a restaurant doesn't have outdoor seating, we can't go there.
And
And
do people do it anyway? Do people, not that you want to call anybody out, but do people like really follow this rule?
I guarantee, 100%. No, you can definitely, obviously you're on this island out here, and where it's mostly Japanese or Asian descent, and then you see some Americans like, oh, well, they're obviously not from around here, and they're eating inside that restaurant.
Yeah.
Nobody I personally know, but you're always going to have. I mean, there's a lot of us down here, and there's actually, even between all the different services, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, there's actually different rules for all of them.
Yeah.
They all are making their own things. So that's the Air Force side. So for us, we just usually the other branch is a little more stricter, or they'll their restrictions, like, it's not all the restrictions are stop or go at the same time. It's just kind of sometimes like we'll lift restrictions or put on restrictions first, and then maybe other branches will follow. It's not like a universal thing for everybody, but yeah, there's definitely some people that not worried about it, and they just do it anyway. And then there's kind of like a weird gray area. So obviously we have like a couple really big malls down here, and there's a food court. So I mean, it's like a bunch of like kind of common area seating. So
Right.
I mean, really, you're not like in a restaurant. You're just at the mall, which you're allowed. You're allowed to go. So we used to not be allowed to do non-essential shopping. We couldn't just go leisure shopping. Like, we could only go get, if we needed gas, we could go get gas. If we needed groceries, we could go groceries. But if we wanted to buy a new sweatshirt, that's kind of like leisure shopping. If we wanted to go buy a surfboard or do any kind of like hobby shopping, then that would be considered a no. But but now we're allowed to go to malls and whatnot. So then there's a food court. So like we're not really eating in a restaurant. There's a lot more room there. It's a big open area. So to me, it kind of feels like a gray area. So
That makes sense.
I personally,
Yeah.
we haven't done that yet, but we really miss his yakiniku. Oh my gosh, it wants that so bad.
Did you guys do a lot of takeout, or are you just mainly cooking at home, or what?
We mainly cook at home. Every once in a while, we'll do like Coco's, get some Coco's takeout or something like that. But,
Right.
Usually.
Imagine with
What's
Megan
that?
there, you guys are eating pretty good.
Oh yeah, she rustles up some good grub, that's for sure. Yeah. Sometimes if we're like in a hurry, or we've been out all day, we'll go by like Lawson's or Family Mart and get like a chicken or like onigiri or something like that. And,
Wait, you guys have a store there called Lawson's that sells chicken?
Oh yeah. They sell some good chicken.
Do you remember there was a small grocery store in Greene County called Lawson's?
Yeah, Lawson's. Yeah, that was the. It sounds they had like the potato wedges, or no, was that a different
So
one?
you're thinking of Peyton's, which is literally like you could see Lawson's from Peyton's. Peyton's is still there. It's a small gas station not grocery store, but fried chicken, potato wedges. That's all still there. Lawson's, it used to be where the police station is now in Greene County. Right
Okay.
there on 33 by the light.
Yeah.
That used to be Lawson's. Do you remember the time? Do you remember the time when this was, early on when I was, just started living with you and your mom? We went on a hike to Lawson's in the snow.
In the snow, yeah.
And then we got lost trying to hike back because we tried to take a shortcut through the woods. We ended up at some dude's farm who put us in his truck and drove us back to the house.
I do think they remember that.
Yeah, that was Lawson's. They also had fried chicken. I don't think it was anywhere near as good as Peyton's, but it cracks me up that there's a Lawson's in Okinawa that sells fried chicken.
So that's a chain. It is a big chain.
Oh.
It's a big Japanese mainland Japan, Okinawa, Lawson's, and so the whole like Walgreens and CVS. There's one on every opposite corner.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. If you see a Family Mart, guarantee within the 1-2 block radius, you're gonna find a Lawson's.
Okay.
Anytime. So and it's just a convenience store. It's like a 7-Eleven, and they also have 7-Elevens here too, and they are some good 7-Elevens. Those are a little bit more rare, the 7-Elevens, but yeah, Lawson's and Family Mart, just a convenience store. Go on, you can buy chips, drink, food, ice cream, alcohol.
Yeah.
Actually sell. There's like usually a little liquor section in each one too, so you can what you're looking for.
Sure.
It's super good,
Uh,
super good. They're really great chicken.
7-Eleven is owned by an Asian company, so it would make sense that the best 7-Elevens are over in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, so here's a little funny thing. So there was a 7-Eleven that opened up kind of down south on the island, and they had a big grand opening thing. We run some errands down there, and we didn't realize it was the first day the 7-Eleven was open. But we were like, why is there was like cars parking on the street, like on both sides of it. There's people just flocking to this 7-Eleven because it had just opened, and everyone was freaking out. I walked in there because I wanted to see what all the hubbub was about, and there was like a whole bunch of 7-Eleven workers in there with their vests on. They were like the store was standing room only. It was like packed shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
For grand opening 7-Eleven, it was pretty cool. I got some videos from it. It was amazing.
So 7-Eleven is kind of like the second-rate convenience store around here, right? Here, everybody talks about Sheetz versus Wawa.
Yeah.
Right, and I do a little bit in my comedy when I'm out. I talk about who's in favor of Sheetz, who's in favor of Wawa, and I say nope, you're both wrong. 7-Eleven is the shit, and I talk about why 7-Eleven is so much better than both of those. Right, for example. Nobody cares in 7-Eleven. You can do whatever hell you want in there, right? Wawa and Sheetz, it's like they're very like there's rules about how you deal with stuff in there. There's no computer for made to order at 7-Eleven. You just tell the guy which taquito you want that you can shit out two minutes later. 7-Eleven, you can go in and buy right now, like not even a joke. You can go buy a Mandalorian Chia Pet in 7-Eleven. Try finding that in a Sheetz or a Wawa.
Yeah, you go to Wawa, you're gonna get like dried fruit and expensive trail mix or something,
Exactly.
It's like a wooden kiosk right in the middle as soon as you walk in.
Yeah. Health food stuff. 7-Eleven's not about the health foods.
No. I think if like fancy wise, obviously Wawa is top, Sheetz is in the middle, and then 7-Eleven's at the bottom.
The other big difference between 7-Eleven and both Sheetz and Wawa is the bathrooms. Like Sheetz and Wawa have bathrooms for customers, whereas 7-Elevens had a bathroom that used to be just for employees that they refused to let customers use, but now they kind of have to. So it's the same bathroom, though. It's a small room with a toilet where you can barely squeeze in and get the door closed. Go to the bathroom. Yeah. There's no sink. Like the sink that the employees use to wash their hands is like the utility sink for the mop bucket, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say you use the bathroom in a 7-Eleven. You got to move the mop out of the way first so you can open the door.
Exactly. Yeah. So, which I love that, by the way. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Because it's also in the back of the store, so you get to go in where like they keep all the shelves of overstock stuff. So it's like you get to go behind the scenes at a 7-Eleven. It's
Yeah. The bath. So yeah, Family Mart and Lawson's, they all have bathrooms and stuff in them, except they're like the fancy electronic toilet seats. So it has like a bidet and like a self-cleaning thing in there.
Oh, yeah, that's different.
Yeah, it's like the fancy Japanese, and some of them are kind of like, I don't know about this, like some of the smaller kind of out of the way Family Marts and Lawson's, but you go to like the mainstreamer ones that are, kind of high traffic areas. Usually they're decent, but but almost all of them have a little electronic, and it's got all these buttons in Japanese. You can't read it. They got pictures so you can see like the spray. There's like a front spray, a back spray, softer, more pressure. You can turn the temperature up and down. It's warm.
Have you used the bidet?
I have used the bidet.
So I have seen a bidet. I have never used a bidet. I want to. I don't know. I just haven't had the opportunity to really use one. Is it as awesome as I've heard?
It's not like mind blowing. It's just some warm water spraying on your butthole. It's not like a.
Does it dry your butthole too, or does it leave it wet? That would be my concern, actually.
So I think there is some ones with the dry options. The ones I haven't, or maybe there is have a dry option. I just don't know which button to push, and I don't want to push the wrong button, and you know. So Malia is actually scared of the toilets in Lawson's and Flame Marks. I think one time the wrong button got pushed and she got sprayed, and she was not a fan of that. So now, and so the toilet seats are actually plugged into the wall, and if she has to go to the bathroom when we're out, she was like, "Can you unplug this seat, please? Because I don't want to accidentally be
Wow.
sprayed." She will not sit on it unless we physically unplug the seat from the wall. That's so funny. It's kind of frustrating at times because I don't want to reach down there and unplug this thing. But,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. But it might dry off. Someone may do. I don't know. I just take a little dab of toilet paper afterwards and be all right.
I just imagine it's like your entire butt's wet afterwards.
No, it's like a tiny little. It's like a small. It's not like a shower spray. It's like a single small stream spray, and it's not like blasting up there. Just like
I worry though that to get everything fully clean, it almost needs to be like pressure washer, pressure.
Well, so you can change the pressure, and it's got some oomph behind it if you want to turn it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't. So a lot of we live off base. A lot of the off base houses have those, the fancy Japanese toilets. But our house was actually built by an American guy. I believe he is in an army. Some army guy that he built had this house built long ago. So it's kind of like an American-ish style house with kind of like Japanese swing on it. So
and American Army dudes do not use a bidet.
Yeah, no, there's no bidets in here. Regular old toilet. We do have a really, really small sink in one of the bathrooms. It's like a standard, like a normal sink you see in a Japanese bathroom. It's about the size of your like one hand,
right,
spread out. That's it.
Yeah, he probably searched high and low for a normal sink and couldn't find it, so he just finally said, "I guess we're using this."
Yeah, we'll just use this one.
And you guys have weathered some storms here in the last few months. Is that true?
So right when we first got here, we had just barely moved in. I think it was like our first 3 or 4 months on island, maybe. I think we just got all of our household goods. And the biggest typhoon to hit Okinawa in the past 6 years, direct hit, we went through the eye of it. Typhoon Trami.
Trami,
yeah, Trami, and we lost power for 4 days, completely lost power for 4 days. And of course, it was I don't know what I can't remember exactly timing was later in the year, but it was still typhoon comes by, it's still hot and muggy. So we were in a super hot, super muggy house with just raining, constant rain, super bad winds, with no AC, and it was bad. It was we got little hygrometers around the house, and it was 90% humidity inside the house.
Oh, jeez.
It was miserable. Right when we first got here. Well, these last few storm seasons, we got one that was kind of bad, but not really. We lost power for 24 hours at most. So.
That's not bad. So I knew several had rolled through. There's been more storms this year than in a long time, right? They've gone through the entire alphabet. They're into alpha, beta, gamma, all that stuff. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so it was fun. We went out a couple times and got some pretty funny videos of out on a pier, not at a pier, but what do we call those little cement kind of walkways that are built out on top of the beach. They go out into the ocean a little bit.
I don't know. I don't know why I feel like the word jetty is something to do with that. Is that a jetty?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We went out there. It was pretty funny. It was getting blown over.
Have you flown the drone at all recently?
Not. So, the second one.
Yeah.
It's been a few weeks. The first one I was flying it a bunch until it got swallowed up by the East China Sea. And I was upset about that. And then I went out there to try to retrieve it. I'm mad I wasn't filming. I filmed most of my adventure out there, but so I crashed the drone. So I was hovering above some rock formations out there. Like, it was probably a good, on the camera, it looked like I was probably like 20, 30 feet above it, maybe like 20, 25 feet above the rock formation that was out, maybe like quarter mile, half mile off, probably quarter mile off the shore.
Yeah.
And I guess this big old wave came and hit it just right and hit the side of that rock formation and shot straight up and just swallowed the drone. So obviously, if I had had some kind of boat, I wasn't about to swim all the way out there. But if I had a boat or something like that, I would have went back, got the boat when I went and searched for it. But I didn't have a boat, and I didn't have any way to transport the boat to where I was. So our neighbors they were, I think they left, and so they left a kayak out on their yard for free because it had a crack in it. So I fixed the crack, bought a roof rack for the van, and then I was ready to go. So I got it all set up, put the kayak on top of the van, drove to the beach where I was. This is like a month later by the time, maybe like almost 3 weeks later. I'm like, maybe it's just, maybe it's there. I'll find it, maybe. So I rode all the way out there. And I don't know what I was thinking. I went out there with flip-flops, and this rock formation is like super jaggedy and like super duper sharp and just wet. And I just went there in flip-flops. I should have like, actual legit like scuba shoes on or something like that. Anyway, I go out there in flip-flops, and I like, it's kind of wavy out there. It's not the most safest conditions. It's kind of rough. So I take it out there, and I kind of like drag the kayak up on this thing. There's not really any space out there. I drag the kayak up, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna search around. I turn around, and there's an eel, like right on the edge of this thing, and he sees me, and I see him, and we both were like, oh! And he starts like jumping around, like doing his like crazy snake, wiggling, trying to get out of there. He's just trying to get out of there, and I'm trying not to fall into the ocean because I'm on the edge of this super sharp rocky formation. I'm trying to make sure my kayak doesn't float away with me on there. I like jump out of the way. He doesn't end up getting me or anything like that. He's just trying to jump into the water, but I'm blocking his way into the water.
Oh, right.
Scared the crap out of me. So anyway, and then I start crawling around this tiny. It's probably about the rock, like maybe like the size of like a shed. Like it's probably like the size of like a medium-sized shed.
Okay.
It's not big. It's not big at all. I kind of climb around, look all over the edges for it. I don't see anything. It's probably long gone by now. But yeah, never found it. Rode back. I was upset.
Yeah, sounds like a fun adventure. Have you been flying the newer drone though?
Yeah. I fly the new drone. Been flying that around, getting some good videos, good shots. I usually just fly it around the house. I need to take it somewhere away from the house. Like go to like a cool one of the coastlines and fly it.
Yeah.
Get some good videos. Kind of scared. I'm like a little scarred though. I don't want to crash it. I don't want the ocean to swallow up.
So, what can you tell us about your plans to come back stateside?
Oh my gosh, the guidance changes. Like I feel like every week or so on like what we can and can't do on leave and where we can and can't go. So before it was like, okay, you cannot leave the island at all. You cannot leave Okinawa at all. And then it was like, okay, you can go to mainland Japan. And that's it, Okinawa, mainland Japan. And now so if we want to go to like the States back on leave. Oh, they were even holding up people that are PCSing. So like, hey, you got orders. It's time for you to leave this base. You are going to go to a different base.
So PCSing, for those that don't know at home, permanent change of station. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, permanent change of station. So overseas bases, there's a set amount of time. So like stateside bases, you can just be stationed at a stateside base for 20 years. You don't have to leave. Overseas bases, you have a DROS, or you have a which is date estimated to return from overseas. That's what that stands for.
Okay.
So you can't just be at overseas base. You can if you have to actively try like, hey, I want to try to extend here. I want to do another tour here, and you have to apply for that. You say, hey, I want to stay here, and they look at all the numbers, like, oh, we already have too many of a person with your rank, with your job title. We don't need you here. You're going to go to a different base. We're going to open up a slot for somebody else. So that's how it is overseas. So it was time for people to leave the island to go to a different base, either another overseas base or back stateside. And they couldn't leave. They just had to stay on the island because you literally couldn't leave. So even official travel, they were banning. It was official travel. You couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You definitely couldn't go anywhere like on like unofficial travel, like if you just wanted leisure, like obviously. So, but now they finally figured out. So now they got all the PCS people are starting to leave now. Everything's really behind. You're like, oh, I have orders, but I don't have. It's been a whole mess. It still is. But they're finally allowing people to for official travel to leave the island, and for people to actually come to the island. And for like leisure travel, you can, if you want to go to the States, you can go to the States, and you're supposed to ROM for 14 days, restriction of movement. So stay in your house or stay wherever you're supposed to. So if you're going back to visit family, stay in your family's house, I guess away from them by yourself in a separate room for 14 days. Don't leave the house. And you're supposed to follow like all this, if the state, whatever state you're going to has any additional rules, or you're supposed to follow them as well. And on the way back, here's where it gets tricky. On the way back, so there are no international flights that fly directly into Okinawa. You have to land in mainland. You have to land at either Narita or Haneda Airport in Tokyo.
Yeah.
And if you have a follow-on flight to come to Okinawa, you cannot take commercial air from mainland Japan to Okinawa. You have to travel unless if you want to ROM in mainland Japan for 14 days. So you just want to restriction movement in mainland Japan for 14 days. No, that's going to be. I mean, unless you have somewhere to stay, it's going to be pretty expensive just randomly flying, and then you got to buy another plane ticket, because obviously, if you haven't accounted for this, then like your plane ticket's going to be like you're supposed to. Well, I mean, you fly in that day, and you're supposed to fly out like a couple hours later. That's typically how it works.
Right.
Not 15 days or so. That's another thing you got to figure out. The only way to fly from mainland Japan to Okinawa is if you take Mill Air. So you have to go down to Yokota and figure out how to get down to mainland, or try to get on the rotator down to Okinawa, and then you can actually ROM on Okinawa if that's where your final destination is.
Yeah.
And obviously for us, our house is down here, so we're not going to try to. It's just not going to be very easy to try to ROM in mainland Japan with like away from all of our stuff, and like we don't know anybody. So. And before you could actually. You didn't have to use you didn't have to burn your leave. When you're on ROM, it wouldn't count against your leave.
That was going to be my next question. Does the ROM, is that time that the military gives you to ROM, or do you have to use your leave for that?
It used to be, but then they changed that. So now the ROM is on your leave. So that's 15 days of leave. That is literally 6 months worth of leave that you've just burned up for ROMing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it takes like 6 months, 6 months to earn 15 days of leave.
Mm. So are you guys still planning to do it?
I mean, so we are. So my dad and Kathy they've already purchased tickets for us to come down there.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to probably in the next month or so route some paperwork through the commander to say, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to take leave to the States, yada yada yada. I'm gonna have to submit a whole plan of how I'm gonna ROM on this side or on that side and this side and what the travel is. So I'm hoping the not being able to travel from mainland Japan to Okinawa on commercial air changes before mid-January, because that's when we're supposed to come back.
Okay.
So hopefully that changes, so we can just fly straight into Narita or Haneda and then just fly straight here. But hoping that it might. I'm sure. I'm very well sure it might change, but hopefully for the better, not for the worse.
Yeah. Right. So. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, yeah, the amount of change such drastic change in such short amount of time is like I mean. Yeah, it's just wild.
And
super annoying.
So when will you guys get here roughly, if you are still able to do it?
Supposed to get there mid-December.
Okay.
December Yeah, right around middle of December.
And the total time here would be about a month, or would you do a month of your leave plus the month of ROM stuff?
No. So it's a month there, just a month there. So essentially, like the first part of my leave there would be ROM, which would
Yeah.
suck.
So,
So,
and I presume you would probably do that at your dad's house?
uh, I don't know, who knows, maybe.
Uh, we don't have that figured out yet.
Nope. Nope.
Gotcha. Well,
I'm just really
I can tell you
looking
this:
stuff changing.
everybody here is really looking forward to seeing all of you guys. I hope that I hope that it can actually happen, and that we can actually get some
Yeah,
time with you guys. So that'd be
yeah,
awesome.
we want to come back, and it's gonna be freezing our butts off there because of course here, shorts and t-shirts, 365, and we're gonna go there in the middle of December. We're gonna be freezing.
Yeah, I was wondering
Pretty
if we're
sure.
maybe gonna have a chance to like do a snowshoe trip or something while you're here.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I got my knee brace came in, so I'm ready to go.
Nice. How is the knee?
It's been fine. I mean, I felt like the doctor was like kind of like steering me towards the way not getting surgery, and I could understand why. Yeah, I don't really want all that craziness and the risk. I talked to another couple medical professionals like, hey, like, what do you think about this? And like, should I get it? And they're like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I would try to stay away from surgery. So I mean, I've been coping fine. I haven't been like babying, and I haven't been doing anything differently. Like I haven't been like purposefully being careful with and it's been okay. I've been
Yeah.
coping, I guess is what they were saying. I can
Cool.
definitely, I mean, I definitely can tell like there's like it's
Is
it,
it
it I,
looser, less stable?
no, I wouldn't say loose or less stable. It's just like there's very slight pain in there on certain angles and certain like just different positions, putting different pressure on it. You can be like, yeah, it hurts a
Yeah.
little bit.
And it is a torn ACL, right?
Oh yeah, he was like clean, 100%, just
100%
gone.
tear.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I got. It was weird. Like I went in, so oh man, I'll start slinging dirt on the medical places down here. But like I wrecked a motorcycle, and then I was like, man, that hurt really bad. I'm trying to like chill for a little while, and then of course this is like in the smack middle of all the COVID stuff. So it's like next to impossible to get appointments, like in-person appointments at any of the hospitals down here. So
Yeah.
yeah, I hurt my knee, yada yada yada. I'm like, they're gonna be like, yeah, well, I'll have like it's funny. So the first time I injured my knee like a while back before I actually got checked out, they were like, I called them like, hey, I'm trying to set an appointment, I hurt my knee, yada yada yada. They're like, okay, well, we'll have a nurse call you in like 24 to 48 hours. Like, oh, okay, thank you for that. I know my knees hurt. I'm not sure why it's hurt. I want to make sure it's okay for me to like continue to like walk around on it so I can make it worse. Like, we'll have a nurse call you. I'm like, whatever. I don't even think I got a call, but I was like, whatever. It stopped hurting after like, I don't know, like a month-ish, and I was like kind of doing my own like home brewed physical therapy, kind of pushing it to its limits until it was like hurting, and kept going a little bit further and just stretching it out and doing all, and it went down. It was fine, back to normal. And the second time I actually tweaked it really really bad. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty serious. And I tried to walk it off for a couple of days. Like, no, this is way worse than last time. Where's the ER? And they're like, yeah, we'll do an X-ray. I'm like, I I know it's not my bones.
Right.
But anyway, they did it like, well, sometimes we can tell, soft tissue damage, yada yada yada. Anyway, long story short, finally I had to like, okay, can I get an MRI? And the doctor was like, well, if you want surgery, like you don't need. So he examined. He's like, I can tell by examining you, I know you have a torn ACL. Like 99.9%, I know you have a torn ACL. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, if you want surgery, we'll do it. But I mean, if you want surgery, I know you got torn ACL. We're not gonna do MRI. Like we're just gonna. I know it's torn. We'll do surgery. If you don't want surgery, or no, it was the opposite. If you want surgery, we'll do an MRI so we can verify it, yada yada yada. If you don't want surgery, then it was like it was pretty much like I had to like fight to get an MRI. It was like, okay, I'll order an MRI. You know, it was like that was, you know, pulling teeth and like, just give me an MRI.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever. But yeah, no, I did ask for if I get, you know, the cool custom bracelet. Got me a brace now.
And
So I haven't used it yet. I only use it if I'm like gonna like play paintball, or I'm gonna like maybe like start up like whenever, if like softball starts back up or whatever, you know. But just for like walking around, even like riding my bike or like going for a run, I don't really need it. I just kind of feel more safe. Like I would feel like less restricted if I was like, you know, doing lots of cutting or like crutch, you know, something like that. And I kind of like I'll kind of like every once in a while be like, you know, I'm just gonna like, let me jump around a little bit. I'll like kind of like cut real bit, or I'll do like some heel clickers or whatever, you know, where you jump up and hit your heels together and land on back on one foot. I do that just to kind of like keep myself keep it just check. I don't know, just like check on it yourself, you know.
Yeah. Well, man, I hope your knee does better than mine. I went a year after I injured my ACL, tore my ACL, confirmed that it was an ACL tear. I got a fancy brace. I went about a year, and if I tried to do things where you like just playing a pickup game of basketball, I tried to play soccer again, you know, just things where you need your knee to be able to do all the different movements, right? So cutting, jumping, running, things like that. Every time I would try to do that stuff, I would forget about how it hurt because it would be fine for the first few minutes or whatever. And then I would jump and come back down and boom, my knee would just hyperextend again because the ACL wasn't there to do what it's supposed to do. And it would tweak itself again, and I'd be like in pain for a week, and then it would be okay. And that happened enough times where I'm like, no, this is not a way to continue living life, is with that happening, because it's only going to get worse. And so finally, after a year, I had the surgery done, and I haven't had to think about my knee ever since.
So you went a year. My doctor was saying, he was like, yeah, we typically like to, like, once you kind of go past that 6-month mark, like, we really want to try to get it fixed before that 6-month mark.
Yep.
So he said, you got 6 months to kind of feel it out and tell me what you want, and if you want surgery, then just, you know, call me up and we'll do it. But,
yeah, well, the price I paid for waiting so long was that I tore more meniscus, the padding between the bones. There was some of that torn on the original injury, but then I tore it even more, and there was like little flaps of dead meniscus in there. It was like making the knee worse. So it was, if I had waited any longer, it would have just continued to be a major problem. So
none of mine it was just my ACL. All my meniscus was like still good.
Well, not having the ACL might cause it to tear some more meniscus.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that concludes the medical portion of the show, and that's basically thing one, was getting caught up with Chester and what's all going on in Okinawa. So we'll take a commercial break. We'll come back and we'll do thing number two. And we're back, and it's time for thing number two. I'll add the commercial later. Don't worry.
Yeah. That's always posted.
I did one of these. I did an episode with Sparky a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard that, by the way, you should definitely listen. Getting caught up with Mark Connor is always fun. But he seemed to think that we were doing this live or something. He was like, he's like, we're recording it on a Sunday night, and he told people on Facebook, hey, we're recording this. I'm doing a show with JR Sunday night at 9, so everybody tune in. I'm like, no, they can't really tune in. And I told him I'm gonna put it out on Tuesday, and he's like, all right, this comes out Tuesday night at 9. I'm like, no, it actually comes out Tuesday morning. People can listen to it anytime. That's how podcasts work. But he has his own podcast now, so he fully understands this now. But yeah, he has his, you know how he used to say Roanoke-isms?
Oh yeah, I follow him.
Like slipperier than snot on a doorknob was something he would say a lot. He has, his podcast is all about Roanoke-isms. That's what it's called. So.
I still drive around with I just say little inside jokes that he just make up, and just from working with him cutting grass, you're like, oh, there he is. There she is. There it is. Just stuff like that, and like I know it's funny, but everybody around me's like, "What? What was it?" I was like, never mind."
That's kind of what makes it
That's
funny.
yeah. It's funny.
So thing number 2, what's inspiring you these days? Anything musical? I have a feeling I know what you're going to say. I hope it's the same thing I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's what's his name? The guy with the
guy with the porn
flamingos.
stash, Mark Rebillet.
Yeah. Wait, how do you say his last name?
Rebillet. It looks
Rebillet,
like
yeah.
it looks like it's spelled rebillet, but it's
Yeah,
it's,
Rebel it. Yeah.
yeah, it's French, and you say it Rebillet.
Rebillet. Okay, yeah.
I know this because like 6 months ago or so, a friend from work was telling me about this guy, and he sent me a link to a funny video of him doing some live stuff. And he's on Spotify. You can listen to him there. And there's like a 45-minute interview with him on Sway in the Morning, which is on Sirius XM. And he performs live on this show, but he talks and interviews too. And the dude's incredible. So I'll explain, and then I want to hear like, how did you come to know about him and stuff? But what he does is he's a one-man show. He's got a keyboard, he's got a computer, he's got a microphone, he's got some sort of looping software, hardware thing. I don't know all the hardware stuff that he's got, but it's an amazing setup that he basically built it himself. And he can sit there and he can start beats and he can make beats and he can loop himself, kind of beatboxing. And so he'll get like a backing track, and then he'll just start singing about whatever the hell he's thinking about at the time. He literally makes it up during the song. He doesn't have these things written at all, right?
Yeah.
So he'll just make stuff up, and he does this live in front of thousands of people. He does it live on the radio. He does it sitting in his living room. If you find videos of this guy, you can just watch him do it in his living room, wearing a robe and just doing this. And
Most of the time in a bathrobe, yeah.
he's hilarious. Like the stuff he comes up with, the music that he makes live on the spot. He doesn't know what it's going to sound like until he makes it. There's just something so organic about what he does. Also, for anybody out there considering listening to him, you don't do it with kids around, because whatever comes out of his mouth is probably not the cleanest song you've ever heard. He says some crazy shit. So that sets the table. I've known about him for a while. I feel bad that I didn't tell you about him, because I know it's up your alley. How did you find out about him? Like, what's your deal with Mark Rebillet?
I mean, I just saw him on the old Facebook, a while back. Just the first thing of this stuff I experienced was his the Flamingo song. One of his crazier songs he's come up with. And I was like, and just right from the get go, I knew what he was doing was just on the spot. A lot of he was just singing whatever it was in his head at that very second. So I was like, man, that's so awesome. I do that too. I do that too a lot here, like just at the house, with the kids, so like I'll say little songs, or I'll take just whatever words and then I'll put them over this, like a Frozen song, whatever like that, and they're like, do a Mario song with Frozen. And I'll be like, whatever, just being silly. So I recognize that with what happened, except he was making his own beats, his own music, with putting it together a lot more smoothly than I could, and I was like, man, this guy is so funny.
Yeah.
And his whole like bathrobe, and he always has like very aggressive like hip / upper body gyrations the entire time. Like it's so funny. And I was like so yeah.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's adult material. Definitely want to check him out. YouTube, Spotify. He's on all the places. I'm looking at him on Spotify right now. His most streamed song, almost 3 million plays. So he's getting some attention. People are hearing about him, and he's a one-man show that's pretty freaking awesome.
His sense of humor rings deep with me. Oh my God, hell is dying. Some people don't get it. They're like, that's really weird, but man,
yeah,
I love it.
Nope, it's definitely weird. It's hard to really fully explain what he's doing. and appreciate what he's doing. And my dad's not going to be able to listen to him because he's going to say things that my dad won't like. But even if he didn't, my dad would be like, "What is happening here? This doesn't make sense."
So funny.
Yeah.
So him and another guy that not really similar, but kind of on that same wavelength. I forgot it. I'm gonna have to look up his name. He does a lot of like really hardcore, like not quite screamo, but like heavy metal versions of like really popular songs.
Yeah.
Of course everyone's freaking about WAP, and he did a really heavy metal version of WAP, and it was really funny. I mean, it was good, but it was like, God, it's like, I think it was like Sam Macchietto. He's got like a, I gotta look him up here. Frog, yeah. So he's got his own like, I guess, record label, or Frog Leap Studios. Oh, there it is. Leo Moracilio. Moracilio. I don't even know how to say that last name.
Got it.
Leo.
Metal covers. Leo Moraccioli.
Moraccioli. There you go. And he's got a very his face. He's got his facial features, or he's got very like just very.
I can see his picture on Spotify where I pulled him up just now. He kind of reminds me of like a James Hetfield from Metallica sort of look.
Yeah, he's got big teeth. He's got big old very very expressive, like noisy face. He's got he's very.
Okay, so he's got metal covers of some awesome songs like "Staying Alive."
Yeah, and some of them are really good. Some of them are kind of like, yeah, those are alright,
Yeah, "Take on Me," the Aha hit from the '80s. He's got a metal cover of that.
Yeah.
"Like a Virgin." I want to hear metal covers of these songs. I did not know this existed. I am definitely going to be listening to this here in the car in about 5 minutes.
And I kind of just pretty much discovered him the same way, like as I did. How do you say it? I want to say
Rebier.
Rebier.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same way, like when everyone was freaking out about WAP, I was just like, whatever, just scrolling through Facebook, and then I saw a metal cover. I'm like, yo, let me listen to that, and it was him, and I'm like, yo, this guy is sick. And then I went to his channel and found a bunch of other cool stuff on there.
That's awesome. I am downloading it to my phone so I can listen to it wherever I am right now. That's awesome. We're going to move on to thing number 3, and then I got to go because I got to play disc golf today at noon, and it's going to – yeah. Have you been playing any disc golf?
I haven't. We got a disc course on base. I just haven't gone out there. I played it like not a whole course. I played a couple holes.
Yeah. That's like all I do. That and stand-up comedy, record a podcast, and watch TV. Outside of work, that's my life. I was going to ask, for thing number 3, it's usually something silly, something funny, something that makes you laugh. We've already done a bunch of that. We talked about bidet pressure. We talked about Mark Rebier and several other things. So I don't know if we got anything left in the tank. I was going to ask, I envision at work where you work, and maybe not now, maybe during normal times, I don't know, but it seems like one of those atmospheres where practical jokes happen all the time, and I'm wondering if that kind of stuff happens. Do you have any funny stories about, Air Force practical jokes, people hiding tools? I mean, is it something that happens or not?
Yeah, we definitely have some practical jokes. It's maybe not quite the practical jokes you see like everybody doing, like where there's big messes involved or like that kind of thing. But like we have like you get a new guy come to the unit, and we're like, of course there's a whole if they don't have, we don't know if they have like a mechanical background or not, and we have not a bunch, we got a couple of fake tools that we can check out to them, or like, hey, go into support. I need to get you 10 yards of flight line. Like, all right, like 10 yards of flight line. So like the flight, So
A flight line is a
the flight.
place where you work. It's not like a thing that you hold in your hand.
Yeah,
at
yeah,
all.
yeah. Of course, you get all these kids that just got out of, they just the basic training is still fresh in their minds. They just got out of tech school, so they're still like, oh, okay, yes, sir, 10 yards of flight line, all right, and oh, go talk to Pro Soup and get the keys for the jet. We gotta, do some maintenance. We gotta do some ops checks. Jets don't have keys.
I was going to say, do jets have keys? Because that would be awesome.
See, you could almost, that one's a little bit easier to swing. You're like, yeah, go get the keys for 1029. We gotta open the canopy and do some stuff.
And there's, I can picture, like, I'm thinking old school car keys, right? Like, there's two separate keys. Like, the key with the round head opens the flap, the thing what's that called?
Cool. The canopy?
The canopy. Thank you. And then the square key
Yeah.
head is the one you put in to actually start it up.
Yeah, that's to turn it on. That's the ignition key. Yeah.
Ignition key. I
Yeah,
like how you know
yeah.
the words for these things. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'm a car guy, so I'm working on it. But so we have that, and then it gets a little more extreme. Where like if the guys wear steel toe boots, like, oh, you just got a new pair of steel toe boots, you got to take those down to NDI. They need to X-ray them for cracks to make sure your steel toe's in good condition. And then you got to go to sheet metal, and they have to strip it so they can do a dye pin on it, And so they're running around. Of course, this is when the jets aren't broke, which doesn't happen very often because they're super duper old. But whenever we get free time, we'll have a new airman run around the whole, all the different shops on the flight line, like, can you do this? And then usually the other shops like, oh, okay, we know, and they'll play along, like, we don't got to call ahead like, hey, we're sending a guy down there. Usually they know, like, oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna give this guy the treatment. So, and then of course, we got a couple tools. We got the ID10T tool you can check
Yep.
out.
I know the ID10T tool. Yeah.
Yeah, and so our ID10T is probably like it's literally just like a 4-foot long piece of pipe. Has no relation to any aircraft. Doesn't even have aircraft parts on it. It's just a big old piece of pipe with a big neon orange removable flight streamer on it with just hey, I go down this board, get the ID10T.
Does it say ID10T on it? So when they find it, they see it and they realize what they are.
Sort of. So every single tool that's used on the flight line has a WWID, a worldwide identification code on it. And each base has their own four-letter designation. Here for Kadena it's KBXC. That's just that was decided way above my head. That's just each base has their own 4-digit code,
Right.
and then the 5 digits after that we can make it whatever we want for whatever it is. So if it's like for all the toolboxes, it's KBXC, APG, and then a number. So we have a lot of boxes. So APG 1 all the way through APG 24. And then so the other tool is KBXC ID10T.
And when they see it, do they realize what's been happening?
No.
It's
No,
too.
no, that's
it's almost like it's too obscure, right? It's not obvious
yeah,
enough.
yeah, no, yeah. Cause there's just because a lot of our tools have like weird, they're called EIDs. Weird EIDs. You got like KBXC, LBAR 4, or just you kind of the benign type stuff. So ID10T, there's like, oh yeah, ID10T, whatever. Yeah, I'll go check it out.
Yeah.
Maybe if they saw it on a computer screen, it might click, but So we got some tools in the back like that. I think what else here?
I think that's almost better than it being obvious, right?
Yeah. They're like, what the hell is this big ass pipe for? Like, what? This doesn't even look like whatever. My supervisor told me to go get it, so I gotta go get it.
Yep. My dad did that to me when my Uncle Dave was working with my dad. They would have me go out to the van looking for stuff, and I forget what the things they were. They asked me to find, but these were things that did not exist in the big van of tools and paint supplies and all of that, and I didn't even know what I was looking for, but I couldn't find it. I knew that. So they had a lot of fun with me at that point.
Yeah. We got what's the other one? We got the PEP SI gauge.
PEPSI gauge.
Yeah, the PEPSI gauge. And then the
It took me a second. That's
yeah,
not to be confused with the COKE gauge.
no, yeah, not the COK. We went to PSI gauge.
Got it.
So yeah, that was a good one. And go get a tub of or you gotta go get a tube of K9P.
A tube of canine feed.
No, K9P. You know, K9P.
K9P. Yeah, okay. It was just as obvious as it was, and I still missed it. Got it.
Because like we got a lot of, so like some of this adhesives and stuff we use are called like we need 2-part BHAF, or we need PET, or RTV. We got a bunch of acronyms and stuff like that. So K9P, they're like, oh yeah, let me get a K9P, please. All right. Somebody got you go.
I would love to keep talking, but I'm already running late for a disc golf appointment with a friend, so he's gonna be expecting me, and I gotta get going. But this has been a lot of fun talking to you, and we should do it again. I don't have to record it and put it on the podcast every time. So maybe we should just talk sometime.
I mean, if it's good content, throw it up there. If it's whatever.
Dude, I predict that this will become the most listened to episode pretty quickly, just because of how interested people are in hearing from you, from Okinawa.
The special guest here. I do got some language barrier stories to tell. That's for sure. I'll say that for next time because they are kind of long, but there's some funny language barriers still on here.
Yeah, save them up. Let's do another episode. Like, seriously, let's do another one in the near future, like within the next few weeks.
All right, yeah.
Right now, this is an official teaser for an upcoming episode of the 3 Things with JR with featuring Chester Hensley. Dude, thanks for staying up late for me. I know it's late there, and I appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it again.
Miss you, love you.
Love you, man.
See you, man.
See you.
Bye.